everybody. Welcome back to the homestead.
How are you all? Man, a lot of you were here early. That was exciting to see a bunch of your comments early. We are always the people who are early to a party. So we were here early too. And I know Kevin had an opportunity to comment and say hello to many of you. So thank you so much.
It has been quite a day already here on the homestead. I'm going to tell you guys a quick story. For those of you who showed up early, you get to hear the good stories at the beginning here. We filmed a video today for you guys, and we filmed about, I'd say 50% of the video, and realized that right after we had started, my microphone fell off somewhere in one of our pastures, and we filmed an entire video basically with no sound. So we had to go back and redo an awful lot of filming today. So yeah. It was not exactly the day we had planned, but that is quite common when you're a homesteader or a farmer.
Right. And typically we don't film on Mondays because we get ready for our live stream. But this past weekend, Kevin did a lot of hunting, and I worked on some other things.
Actually, I did a lot of sitting in a tree and very little hunting. So,
well, you were looking for deer that did not appear. And we really think the reason is we had a very, very hot weekend.
Yeah, it was actually the hottest weekend on record for this time of year in our entire area. It was in the low 90s, upper 80s, low 90s the entire weekend. And basically the deer just, I think, went back into the woods. And, you know, when it's hot like that, they only come out after dark. And I know that they're there because I see them on my trail camera, but they were not coming out during daylight hours when I could see them. So,
and actually one time during the weekend, I saw that the thermometer said 98 degrees. And so I shot a little Instagram reel about that, and the pigs were hot and all the birds were hot. And so we are ready for summer to go away and for it to come back again in May. But I would actually rather it wait until July. That would be nice.
I just saw someone from Guatemala.
Wow.
And then someone from Seymour, which is the town right next to us. So we got people from far away and people from right next door.
Hey,
so
neighbors.
Good to see all of you.
Yeah.
And neighbors in Guatemala.
Yeah, that's right. Again, today, like the last couple live streams, we have some special people helping us out. Rich and Shelly from Air to Ground Farms are helping us. Rich is kind of helping with the back end production, and Shelly is doing some moderating. And also our wonderful son-in-law, Gavin, is also moderating. So thank you all so much for all of that. I do want to just do a little plug for Rich and Shelly.
Right.
That not only do they have an amazing regenerative farm here in our area, but they have a meat shop in Ava, Missouri.
Yes.
Where currently they are selling like all the meat that they raise.
Right. Yeah. Lamb, beef, pork,
chicken. Yeah. And they're doing a fantastic job. They also sell their eggs. And off the farm, they sell raw milk, not at the store because that's not legal here. But off the farm, they do, and they are doing a fantastic job. I also want to put a little plug in there for our son-in-law, Gavin. He is a realtor in the area, and he has a family. His family's been here forever, and, you know, he's been here his whole life. So he knows about farming. His family farms. He knows about farming, farmland, homesteading. And so if you are looking for properties or for your forever home or whatever in this area, it would be awesome if you would look him up. He's a great guy and very, very thorough. He's had some really great references.
Yeah.
And we are biased because he's an awesome kid, man.
It's our daughter Grace's husband.
Yes.
So I just saw a question asking how Shelly's knee is. And what I'm going to say is you guys should go over to their YouTube channel and check out the video they just did. It's a long story about how it all played out. But I think it's worth watching, and go check out their channel, Air to Ground Farm.
Yes. Yes. So continue praying for her. We all would appreciate that. So we are excited tonight to talk about the topic that we have chosen.
So our topic tonight is going to be the internet can crash, but books can't. And this is something I've been thinking about a lot lately because we're just kind of redoing our office area in our house now that our youngest daughter left for college. We're actually moving our office into her room because it was bigger, and we're going to put her on the weekends when she's home. She can stay in the smaller bedroom. It's kind of our way of secretly, one step closer to being gone. We enjoy having her here.
We do.
But she's only here 2 days a week. And honestly, when she is here, she's working 12 hours a day, those 2 days. So I think she can handle the smaller bedroom. We told her she could still keep the bigger closet, which
part of the bigger closet
to a teenage girl is much more important than the bigger room.
Part of the bigger closet. We also need part of the bigger closet as well.
So tonight we are going to review, we've got a stack of books. I think we've got about 15 books or 14 books.
13, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So that we're going to go over. These are books, some of them that we've had forever, some that we've only had for a while. But as we were unpacking, we went through and picked the books that we think are the absolute best. When this live stream is over tonight, we'll also have links to all of these in the description of the video, the replay video on YouTube. So go ahead and check those out as well. We'll have links to all of these.
And also in our Amazon shop, we have a specific category for books. And it has all of these books. I double checked, but it also has a lot of the other books that we recommend. We could not fit them all in here. We actually went to our bookshelves and we're like, what? How can we decrease this from like 150 down to under 15? Right. So not all 150 of them are on Amazon, but all of these are, and some other ones.
Right. So before we get started on books, I do want to first of all thank you, Teresa, for a super chat. I take it you're talking about hearing about the story about us filming a video today with no microphones on. So thank you. Yeah. We appreciate that.
It was a little frustrating and nerve-wracking.
Sometimes you just have to smile and bear it. And sometimes, days are just like that. Yeah. And today was one of those days. But we're here now, and we're ready to move on.
It was scary because we almost lost a good mic. One of these microphones.
Yeah, it actually took us almost an hour to, because when you're out in a big pasture, that pasture that we were in is about 10 acres or something like that. And a little bitty microphone laying somewhere in there. It was kind of hard to find, but we did find it.
I found it. Yeah.
All right. So we are going to get started on books. I think we're just going to go back and forth with some of the books that we thought were important. I've got my stack. Sarah's got her stack.
Yep.
And the first one that I'm going to pick is actually one of the very first books that we ever bought for homesteading. It's called Barnyard in Your Backyard. And this is a book that it's a really good kind of basic book. And to be honest, even these days, I go back to it from time to time because it goes over all of the basic animals. It goes over chickens and ducks, geese, rabbits. I mean, you can see it there I guess I don't have to name them all. But it is just a really good book. It's not super expensive, but it is really well put together. And especially when you're first starting out, it's got all of the basics covered in here. And it's a book that I would highly recommend you have on your shelves. Even if you do have some experience already, it's just a good reference book to have.
Right. I agree. The first book that I'm going to recommend looks actually different. My copy looks different than what we're going to put up on the screen because mine is a really old copy that I actually got at an auction like 5 years ago or something. It is Keeping a Family Cow, and it is really concentrated on dairy cows. And there is a lot to learn when it comes to raising and keeping a dairy cow. And this book is really kind of a classic for people who are wanting to learn about dairy cows. So that is my first one. I highly recommend it.
My next one is a really fun book that I've looked at a lot. I use a lot. I go back to quite often. It's called The Have More Plan. And it's a book that was originally written back in the 1950s. And this is a reprint of it. But it is really a detailed layout of it's written by a couple who left the city and moved to the country to become farmers. And it's how to lay out an entire farm, all the different animals, how to build pens, It's just a really cool book. And it's all stuff, the way they did it back in the, 40s and 50s, which,
yes.
We might have to go back to those days at some point. So I think it's a really cool book. It's not very thick. Mm-hmm. It's only, 70 pages, but it's a fun book. I have gotten a lot of good information out of it. It's got all different kinds of animals, even some that, aren't common anymore, like pigeons and things like that.
Right.
So,
one thing that I think we learned from that book is just to kind of think differently like they did back then. So, like silky chickens can hatch like any eggs.
True.
But quail that we would like turnix quail, they don't hatch their own eggs. So in a situation where you want to keep quail and you can't use an incubator,
right.
That book gave us the idea, hey, we could actually hatch quail under our silky chickens.
Right.
So just different ways of thinking. And actually they have like different ideas for housing that we're not accustomed to from back in the day. And I think that's really good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The next one that I am recommending is Raising a Dairy Heifer Successfully. So we have raised several dairy heifers on the homestead, and they are they can be a little bit tricky, especially because if you're wanting to raise them up to be like your next milker or an additional milker. Well, first of all, I highly recommend if you're going to get your first dairy cow to get a seasoned cow that already knows what it's supposed to do, because you're learning. So you don't want to be learning on a heifer that doesn't know what to do either. But then the next step after that generally is to get a heifer, and that's a whole different learning situation. So that book, Raising a Dairy Heifer Successfully, is actually a very, very good book.
Right.
Yeah. What's next?
The next one is another one of my picks. It's called The New Livestock Farmer. And it goes into the kind of the business side of raising things. And it's really the business side of raising ethical meat. And it's a really good book. It's something I highly recommend. It goes into everything from, processing to some of the legalities of things, and just kind of a good overview of lots of different animals and everything you kind of need to know if you're going to go, especially if you're going to go into selling meat.
Okay. The next one is one of mine. And it is called Beyond the Pellet. And I have talked about this in my rabbit series, I think in my first rabbit series. This book gives you options for either replacing the rabbit pellet, which, it's a discussion for another time that I actually don't recommend you completely eliminating pellets. But it gives you lists and lists of things that are edible for rabbits and their nutritional value. It gives you ideas for if you want to like overseed your yard or your pasture specifically to grow things that are good for your rabbits when you move them on tractors. It's really just a fantastic book. If you're interested in having like your own rabbit garden where you just grow things specifically to feed your rabbits so you can eliminate or decrease the amount of pellets you're feeding them, this is a fantastic book.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Next one for me. Actually, I'm going to do two kind of at the same time, but we'll do one first. It's just called Butchering. Guess who's the author on this? Adam Danforth. Guess he's very good at writing about butchering, but he wasn't super creative on titles. Hey. So, you don't have to be. When you just put it out there, it's called Butchering.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is it's very in-depth. I really like this one a lot because we flip through some pages here so you guys can see.
Hold on one second. Let me get this off the screen.
So you can see it's loaded with just really good pictures.
Mm-hmm.
It goes through exactly how to cut up each animal and how to, store it, all the different cuts, options for different cuts. Like say on a hog, if you want the chops, you can do this. But if you don't want the chops, you can use that meat for this instead.
Right.
And this is the book when we process our own pigs. This is the book that we use to reference. I mean, we have this out there while we're processing because we don't do it often enough to remember everything. But this book is so in depth that you can just have it out there with you, flip through it as you go, and it'll tell you step by step what to do with all of the different animals.
Yeah.
And then the next book is very similar. It's called Basic Butchering of Livestock and Game. It's got a lot of overlap with the other book, but what I like about this one is that it also has venison in there. So you can, if you're a deer hunter, when I first started deer hunting, when we moved out here 8.5 years ago, I had never hunted prior to that. I didn't grow up in a family that hunted. And so that was all brand new to me. And so learning how to process all of the larger animals was all brand new when we moved out here. And these books have helped a ton.
Okay, the next book that we are recommending is my pick. And you guys, this should be no surprise to any of you who have watched my canning videos. This is my absolute favorite canning book. The Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving, 400 Delicious and Creative Recipes for Today. I have used the heck out of this. And I actually, on my book, on the inside...
Look, I put Rich up there for a minute.
Oh, hey, Rich.
Rich was there for a second.
On the inside, you can see when I got this. I got this for a Mother's Day present in 2014. So I have been using this book now for 10 years.
Wow.
And it has all of these markers in it, and I take notes in it because I'm a super nerd. But I love it.
That was really nice of the kids to buy you that book when they were only like 2 and 6 or something like that.
It's been 10 years. We have a
18-year-old
and a 21-year-old.
What? 04. Gosh.
Not good math.
No.
Okay.
And we're old. That's what I just proved. I just proved we're old. Gosh.
Okay. You start talking about your next one.
My next one is going to be my final one, and it is by Temple Grandin. It's called The Guide to Working with Farm Animals. If any of you are familiar with Temple Grandin, I mean, she is just exceptional with how she works with animals, how she understands their nature and
their behavior. They're like cow language.
Like basically. She communicates with them. I don't know how, but she just knows how to handle animals. And this one works specifically a lot with cattle, although it does do pigs and other things. But a lot. The reason I bought it was for cattle when we first started raising cattle. And it talks a lot about how to build your working facilities and all of that. In fact, one of our projects coming up is going to be all new cattle working facilities. And that's the reason I pulled this book back out today, is because I want to go back and review some of her setup. And because what it really talks about is how to do everything with the animals in a very low stress situation so that nobody gets injured, the animals don't get freaked out. And especially with cattle, if you put them in a situation one time where they're scared, they will remember that. They will. Like if you really scare them of the squeeze chute or all of that, the next time, even if it's a year later, they will remember that was a spot that they didn't like, and you are going to have a really hard time getting them through there. So it's much better to keep everybody calm, even if it takes longer. Right. Keep everybody calm and just, do what you need to do and have everybody have a good experience.
Okay, next up is another one of my recommendations. This is Freeze Fresh. I've had this book for 2 summers now, and it is amazing. It really goes through most of the veggies that you're going to grow in your garden and how to freeze them. And it also has lots of different recipes to use your frozen foods, or like how to make like a meal and freeze it, that kind of thing. It is a very, very good resource. The next one, I'm going to have you do this one because you're out of books. No,
it's fine. Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll find it though.
Okay. Well, the next one you guys have heard us talk about a lot as well, and that is the Seed to Seed book. This book teaches how to save seeds from your garden. It talks about like how far away you should plant a tomato plant from another tomato plant to make sure that they don't cross-pollinate, and then you're saving seeds of, not a true variety. It is a very, very thorough book, and we just think everybody needs to have it. Anybody who's gardening and wanting to save seeds and be more sustainable and not have to rely on the seed stores and things like that. And
it's one of those books that even though you may not need it a whole lot right now, there may be a day where you need it.
For sure.
And I highly recommend you have it on the shelf. Kind of like along the topic of our talk tonight, like the internet can go down, YouTube videos might go away. But books, once you have them in your possession, they just cannot be edited. So, I mean, you can have them there.
Right. And I have one more book, and this is an area where I have like a zillion books, but I'm only going to share with you one. You want to find that one?
Sure.
It is the Homesteader's Herbal Companion book. This is Amy Fuel's book, and I highly recommend it. It uses and talks about herbs that are very common and easy ways to use them. So this is really a good beginner book. And she comes up with recipes and things that are that homesteaders will use. There are lots of other herbal books out there. One author, Rosemary Gladstar, I like her books as well. But the reason why I chose Amy Fuel's book specifically is that she is a Christian herbalist, and that's important to me. And I know that there isn't any new age things in her books and in her teachings. She also has an herbal like master class that I, recommend to people if you're wanting to learn more about it. I want to go through it one of these winters when I have less to do. So I highly recommend her as an herbalist. And so if you're interested in it as well, go ahead and check out her book.
And then the final book that I forgot to put a slide up because I don't know if the one I use is on Amazon or not, but we highly recommend you all have a new Bible.
Yes.
Have one on the shelves right now because, again, just like these, you never know when the internet is going to either go away or, things can be edited and you may never know. But if you have one on your shelf, a book can't be edited.
Right.
So make sure you have a Bible on your shelf. My personal Bible that I use is by Ray Comfort. I don't know if he's on YouTube as well, but Ray Comfort is a great evangelist, and he's got a very good, it's called the Answers Bible Study Bible, and it's really, really good. I use the New King James Version. That's what I like. And it's just I highly recommend it.
Right. And I have a study Bible also. I think that is so important. It's so helpful. And I just think it's like the ESV study Bible or something like that. It's nothing special, but it's an amazing book and I love it.
All right, so those are our recommendations for books. Again, we will have a list of all of those in the description of the video when we are done tonight, and they are already in our Amazon shop in a section just for books, along with some other ones that we recommend as well.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right, so we are going to jump into some of your questions now, if they're either about the books or about anything homesteading related in general. We'll try to answer the best we can and as honestly as we can.
Let's start with this one. It's kind of a business question, I would say. I got business/personal.
Do I need to put a tie on?
No.
Okay.
You don't have a tie anymore?
Nope. When we left corporate America, I got rid of all my ties.
I also don't iron a single thing unless I'm going to a funeral or a wedding. I don't iron a single thing anymore.
Hello from Northeast Florida. What do you guys do for health insurance? Thanks. I'll be honest, the options for health insurance when you are self-employed these days are extremely limited.
They're minimal.
So we do a couple things. We buy health insurance through the health exchange, which isn't, trust me, not something we want to do, but it is really the only option for people who are self-employed, is to buy a policy through the healthcare.gov exchange.
Yes.
So we buy kind of a high level policy there, like a catastrophic policy or whatever they call it there. And then we actually just recently joined two different things. We joined an online health provider called Function Health, where twice a year you get like super in-depth blood work done. and it's like $500 for the year, but you get like over 100 blood tests done when you first sign up, and you get that every year. And then halfway through the year, you get about like half of those done again for the second time. And it just gives you like, and then they have all doctors who review that and give you recommendations on supplements or whatever they think you need. If they find anything major, they recommend you go, to a doctor in person. But it's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was started by Casey Means.
No.
Callie Means.
No.
Yes, she was part of it.
Okay.
And what's his name? The doctor is the pharmacy doctor. Anyway,
I'm sorry.
But I highly recommend it. They do such a good job with like super in-depth blood work. And then we also just joined kind of a local healthcare provider here as well.
Yes. There is a medical system called Freedom Health. It's over by Springfield, and basically they provide, like, you buy a membership from them every month. You pay a monthly membership, and they will give you better care than you're going to get from your doctor. We went this direction because we have felt, and specifically me, I felt for a long time that when I go to the doctor, they don't have time for me. Right. And they don't want to really hear what I have to say. And they're not really looking for me to be healthy. They're looking to see what's wrong with me so they can prescribe a pill. And I'm not interested in that kind of care.
Neither of us are on medication.
Right. We're not on medications. We don't want to be on medications. And we want more care, more one-on-one communication with our healthcare providers than we've been getting. So we joined, I think it's called Freedom Health Systems.
Yeah.
And so that's just another.
I think it's in Ozark, Missouri.
Yeah.
Where it is?
Yeah. And I want to tell you that I called last week for an appointment, and just to kind of get to know, the doctor and to take over some of my blood work. And my appointment is this Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. Earlier, 2 months ago, I called to get to see my my gynecologist. And in July, I had to wait until the middle of October. Right. And I'm really kind of sick of that. So we're hoping that this new system is going to be better and that we're going to get better care. That was a really long answer to that.
Well, but that's all the things that we do. There you go.
This one is specifically for you, Kevin.
Okay. Kevin, do you miss raising quail? Quail and I have a love-hate relationship. Yes, I do kind of miss it. I enjoy raising quail, but it's like everything, that there's times when it's just nice to have a break from it as well. So we have plenty of quail in the freezer, so we're still able to eat plenty of quail. I do miss having fresh quail eggs. We'll see. There's a reason why when I stopped doing things like this, even like when we took some time off from rabbits, now I'm taking time off from quail. We never like sell the cages. We never get rid of all of the equipment, because I know I'll raise quail again. And that way I already have it all there.
Yeah. This is a good one. And I'll go ahead and answer this one.
Okay.
Please back up a moment and describe an important difference between a heifer and a cow. Well, a heifer is a female, cow, but that has not had a calf yet.
Right.
So it's a
female cattle,
bovine that has not had a calf yet.
Right.
Technically, once that heifer has a calf, many people call her a first calf heifer.
Right.
And then once she has her second calf, she's a cow.
Right.
But in normal lingo, a cow has already had a calf and a heifer has never had a calf.
Right.
So that's the difference.
Right. Just like, a bull calf, and a steer. A steer is a bull calf that's been castrated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Oh.
What?
Never. Okay. I was so curious as to what you were going to do with the persimmons, because I just foraged and harvested a big bag of wild Missouri persimmons today.
Big bag.
Oh, you did much better than we did.
I was hoping for a big bag, and my plans were for a big bag.
Right.
I was hoping to try like persimmon pudding. or persimmon bread. Although we don't eat that, you can make a sweet bread. And I'm sure that you can find low carb or keto sweet bread recipes, persimmon cookies. I didn't really know. We ended up only having 9 of them, so we just kind of ate them.
Right. Yeah.
That's it.
I am looking into through the Missouri Department of Conservation to see if I can get little seedlings for next year so I can plant them in some strategic areas, not only near where I want to hunt because the persimmons do attract the deer, but also in areas where we can harvest them much easier as well. So hopefully in the future, we will also have a big bag of persimmons.
Can the list of books be listed in the details of the YouTube video?
Yes, it will be. Yes, as soon as this is over, we will list it in there, and you'll have a list of all of the books.
Yes.
Have you
seen the Christian Herbal magazine yet? I will tell you that they have been pushing that ad toward me on Instagram for quite a while, but I have not subscribed to that. I'm very interested in learning more about that. I just haven't pulled the trigger and ordered that magazine. Yeah.
This is the one I was kind of chuckling at this because I just read this out of the corner of my eye, and all I got to the part was, "Do you have any parasite issues?" I was like, "Oh, geez, do I look like I have parasite issues?" And then I read the rest to see that it was about rabbits. So, do we have parasite issues when we keep rabbits on the ground? We do not, because we keep the rabbits moving. Mm-hmm. If you kind of know the life cycle of the parasites in your area, you kind of know how to break that by keeping the rabbits moving. So we move them like every 2 or 3 days, and then they don't go back to that same patch of ground for at least a month after they've moved off of it. Ideally, even more than that. So you could have parasite issues if you have a real small yard and you need to kind of keep moving them back over the same area. But as long as you have enough room that you can move them so that they don't need to go back onto the same piece of ground, you should be just fine because you'll break that cycle of parasites before it ever becomes an issue. And
just to be clear, we move our breeders when they're alone in a rabbit tractor. We move them every 2 to 3 days. But when we have a full litter in there, we move them every day.
Oh, yeah. But like now, when we just have breeders, one rabbit, they can stay in the same spot for a few
days. You can answer this one.
Will we ever see a Kevin and Sarah blooper reel? That would be awesome. Well, I wish we made mistakes, but you know, there are none. There are no bloopers. We just don't
ever slip in the pig poo and fall down and,
or fall over a fence and rip our pants or, none of that ever happens around.
Not on camera anyway.
No, honestly.
That's for sure.
No.
Honestly, the mistakes that we make are so boring. Y'all would be like, oh, she just screwed up that word or something.
Right.
Because those are the majority of our bloopers are something doesn't come out right, or we stumble on our words or something like that. We don't ever have any of the fun bloopers. We probably would put the fun bloopers in if we ever really had a really fun blooper, but we're just kind of normal, boring people.
When we get a good one, we'll put it in there. We promise.
How about this one? Do you have any plans? By the way, I love all the emojis. So fun. Do you have any plans in the future to sell seeds that we save ourselves to our viewers? Now, we have a little bit in the past offered some of our seeds at the farmer's market when we were selling plant starts of those veggies that we knew hadn't cross-pollinated with anything. So we had sold okra, because we only grow one kind of okra generally, and the butternut squash or the Canada crookneck squash, those kinds of things.
In general, we don't plant our plants in a way that we can guarantee they haven't cross-pollinated. So we don't really feel super comfortable selling things because we'd hate to sell something and have, we'd hate to sell you a bell pepper plant and have it be like
crossed with a jalapeno.
Right. And then you get mad because you don't like.
Right.
So that's part of the reason we don't. But yeah, we have we have sold some in the past.
Yeah, and we may, here and there,
Right.
especially the varieties that are hard to find elsewhere. For
Right.
instance, the Canada crookneck squash, Baker Creek used to offer them, and now they don't, and they haven't for many, many years. So that might be something that we would do.
Yeah.
But overall, we just kind of save what we can just for kind of our emergency supply, and just trust the experts for the rest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this one?
Yeah. I'm assuming this is for me. Do you miss your Harley? I do, actually. Many of you know that I used to ride a Harley, and when we decided to become debt free, it was one of the things that I sold. I don't regret selling it because it totally helped change our lives by becoming debt free. But there are times when when I'm in town or something, or I hear one go by on the road, and I think, gosh, I really miss that sound. But I don't know. It can be pretty dangerous out here as well. We've got a lot of hills, a lot of curves, a lot of deer. I actually had a friend who his dad got killed on his Harley when a wild turkey actually flew out and knocked him off his bike. And, it's, I guess the older I get, maybe I'm not quite as daring as I used to be.
Let's see. Did we already answered that one. Yeah. Sorry. Let's do this one. Do you use comfrey for animal feed, fertilizer, and balm? I have used it for fertilizer, and we should probably use it more than we do. I have used it for balm. I would like to continue using that for balm. And in fact, I might make some, infuse some oil soon and make some balm. The animal feed, I know that now, if you don't know this, comfrey has very high protein in it. So it would be a good animal feed for basically anything. The problem is it's so fuzzy and kind of prickly that a lot of animals don't want to eat it. So you would probably need to dry it and then like blend it up, not necessarily into a powder, but blend it up for them to eat. And comfrey is not very easy to dry. That's why, it has so much protein that it could be a substitute that you could just grow it like hay. But hay dries easier and as much and faster and more thoroughly without molding, and easier to bale. So that's why a lot of people don't use comfrey, and most people don't for that reason. So we have not. We understand both the nutrition and the medicinal properties and the fertilizer properties. We should do more than we do.
Right. Any recommendations about starting chickens in the city? Book recommendations. Actually, it's funny that you asked this, because there was one that I almost picked to put in my pile of books for today, and then I set it back down. But there is a good book. I believe it's called A Chicken in Every Yard or something like that. If I find it, I'll try to add it to the list after this. But it's called something right along those lines, like A Chicken in Every Yard, or I think it's called A Chicken in Every Yard. And it is a really good book, and it's geared toward starting chickens in the city. It's actually one of the first books we got when we got our very first chickens.
This is a fun one. Can you freeze bananas in your harvest freezer into chips?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're fantastic.
Yeah, they're really good.
And they're way better than the ones you get from the store, which don't even taste like bananas because they're fried in oil.
Right. Yeah. I always thought the ones in the store were dehydrated.
No.
But they're not. They're deep fried.
And I don't think they're fried in a very good oil either.
I'm sure they're fried in vegetable oil or soybean oil or something like that. But no, the ones in the freeze dryer are amazing.
Right.
Now, we don't eat them much anymore, but we do still have some, actually. And you put them in your mouth and they just kind of melt, and they're so good.
They're amazing.
You're making me hungry.
I know. The trick to freeze drying bananas, to get as many pieces on the tray as you can, is to skewer them through, what's that called? When a kebab skewer, those wooden ones. If you skewer them that way and just have a tiny little space in between each little slice of banana, then you can freeze dry way more at a time that way. Yeah, I learned that.
That's good too.
Yeah. And we are excited to do those kinds of things for grandkids.
Right.
You know, and have like some awesome
And
real food.
I won't steal any of them. They're all for the grandkids.
And I'm not going to dip any of them in chocolate either. That'd be so good.
Right.
Okay. Oh, here's one for you, Kevin.
Okay.
Ready? Ready?
Oh gosh, how come no donkeys? Because someone won't let me get one. That's the answer to that question. I can tell you that. We have some friends actually who have donkeys, and I have wanted a donkey, and Sarah keeps talking me out of having a donkey because supposedly they are very hard to feed.
No, they're very easy to feed. They eat a lot of things they shouldn't be eating. And I'm not saying like goats. They're hogs. They're pigs, and
they can get overweight and fat, and like you really need to control the amount of feed they're having.
Right.
And like our pastures are actually pretty nutritious.
Yeah.
And I think we'd have to like confine it
to
a pretty small area with mostly dirt.
Yeah.
So that it didn't get overweight.
Yeah,
at least that's our understanding.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys know that that's not true,
it's true,
and you can convince Sarah that I should have a donkey, start doing that now. Emails, chats, whatever. Tell us your amazing donkey stories, because this is something I've been working on for 8 years, and so far I just haven't won that battle. So donkeys and emus. Those are the two things.
We will leave it up to the people who do that really well, like Cog Hill Farm and White House on the Hill.
See,
they do emus so well. We don't need to get into emus because they've got it all covered for us.
Emus are my backup plan if I ever get alpha gal and can no longer have beef. So why wait until you have the problem? You could get them now, get a whole nice herd, flock, whatever it is of emus, and have them all ready.
They're freaky. They're huge.
All right.
They run
emus or donkeys? Which one should we get next?
Oh, no.
Start leaving comments.
Oh, no. Okay. Let's see.
Oh, you can talk about that one.
Which one?
That one.
Oh, are we going to tell the story?
Yeah, tell the story.
Are we really going to tell this story?
Yes, go ahead.
Is there a reason you don't have Great Pyrenees dogs or Donnies?
They were supposed to be donkeys.
Donkeys.
Again, great idea.
Okay. So we really thought that would be a great idea to get a livestock guardian dog.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe we're going to tell this story. And we actually, for a very, very, very short time, and not on YouTube, had one here on this new property here. And
within the last 6 months.
There is a wonderful family at church that breeds them. And they're not Pyrenees, they're Colorado Mountain Dogs.
Colorado Mountain Dogs.
And they had a female who was 6 months old who had been living with its mother, learning like how to be a livestock guardian dog. And so we thought, hey, this would be a great idea. One is already trained. We don't have to worry so much about it. It's like easy peasy, right? So we bring it home, and it's just the most wonderful female.
Well, we had to deal with them that if it didn't work out, they would gladly take it back, and they knew it was going to be a trial.
Right. Yeah. So at first, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. We had it living inside our chicken moat area, where the garden is and the orchard and the grapes and the berries and stuff. And it was doing a really great job. And we really just wanted it to live there temporarily until it knew the surroundings. Well, Kevin is a big softie, and he started allowing her to come up on the porch with us, the porch of our house. And so it wanted to be on the porch all the time.
Right.
So,
especially at 1 o'clock in the morning.
So it started getting out. It would climb over both.
It climbed fences. Over the fences, on top of our wood pile, out onto the ground. Then it would jump the fence, the fence around our deck, come onto the deck, and whine. We never let it in the house ever, but it would whine by the house, knowing we were in there.
Well, and it would scratch on the glass door because it wanted to come in the house.
And then, because I'm assuming maybe the people that we got it from had let it in the house. That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And so we have 2 beagles. So at 2 o'clock in the morning when this livestock dog is scratching at the door to come in, and our 2 beagles are freaking out. And just, beagles can be loud, especially at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And this went on for a week.
Yeah.
And finally we were like, you know what? This isn't going to work. Yeah. And so we took her back, and they were very, gracious about it. And like I said, when we originally brought her home, we had told them like we'd like to do this on a trial basis. And really, I think even though we probably could do it again and again get one from a puppy, as even younger puppy, and train it to be right here, I think we just kind of decided that I'm not sure that's for us.
Right.
We like inside dogs. We like dogs that want to be more with us, even if we're outside, but that come in with us when we're coming in. So.
And one thing we realized about ourselves too is that we would not be comfortable with a dog that roamed.
Right.
And that would get out and go onto other people's properties and on the road and things like that. It gave us a lot of anxiety not knowing where the dog was and whether it would bother people or whatever. So we've just decided that we're just going to stick with beagles in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our beagles are doing great.
Yes,
so
they are.
Once the weather starts to cool down, hopefully you guys will see them on more videos, because right now they pretty much stay in the house and sleep all day. But when the weather cools down, they love to go outside and run in the chicken moat area. So
yeah. Here's a good one. What is the part of homesteading you enjoy most?
There's all parts of it that I enjoy. That's really that's a tougher question than you would probably think.
For me, while you're thinking, the best part for me is preparing a meal for my family with the products that we have grown and raised and made right here. When I can put a meal that is 100% home raised, or even like 95% home raised, that is amazing. And that is my favorite.
I got mine.
Okay, go ahead.
It's eating a meal that Sarah prepared with all.
Oh,
really, it is. She's a good cook.
Thanks.
I'll say, honestly, my favorite part, I've got several. The first tomato of the year, the first green bean of the year, the first okra of the year. There's nothing better than a chicken that has never been frozen.
Yes.
It totally revolves around eating, for sure. All of my favorite everything revolves around eating for the most part. So I don't know. There's just it's a nice life, even though there are times when the work can be really overwhelming. And there are days, when you put your whole life online, there are days where we've had some days recently where things have been a little tougher than normal. But all in all, it is a very good life, and we really enjoy it. And it's why we try to spread the word to as many people as we can that they should live this life as well, because a terrible day homesteading is much better than a day sitting in a cubicle. Yes. I can tell you that from experience.
Yes. What's your favorite animal on the homestead? That's just my question.
I think the pigs.
Yeah.
Honestly, although I don't know, like I really, I like them all. I know that sounds like a cop out, but like when I go out there and I just stand in the middle of Wattlesville, and the ducks and the geese, and like they bring a smile to my face. It's hard to be in a bad mood when you're surrounded by animals. That's what I think.
Yeah.
We've got some of our beef cows now that I'm like, we've got one named Fanny. I think we've talked about her on videos. Like, you go out there, I mean, you wouldn't think you could have like a relationship with a cow, but Fanny is like, she's so friendly, and she comes up and she wants to be petted. And I mean, it's a great life. I don't know. How do you be in a bad mood when you're surrounded by that?
Yeah. My favorite are the dairy cows.
Yeah.
I love the dairy cows. They're so sweet and gentle. And cows, you'd think that I think cows actually smell good. I'm not talking about their manure, but they have a sweet smell.
She's never said to me, "Oh, you smell so good, just like a cow."
Well, no, it's different. Babies smell nice too, but you don't want to smell like a baby.
That's true.
Yeah, I love cows. Let's see. Here's one for you.
Will you take us along bow hunting this year? You know, I'm not really set up to like have my camera and everything along when I'm hunting, and YouTube is so weird about it now. Anything that involves weapons of any kind. So honestly, probably not. I've showed you guys kind of some of my setup. Maybe someday I'll do, if it's something that you guys want to see, leave in the comments and I'll look at them later. But like, if it's something that you want to see, kind of like the equipment that I take along with me, you know, if you want to see a deer butchering video, we can probably do that. But actually going out into the woods, I don't think so, because I'm not really set up with like, you know, a handheld, hands-free camera and all of that kind of stuff. So
let's answer this one.
Okay.
I'll start.
Okay.
How can I tell if my rabbits have parasites? Well, the first thing is you want to look at their poop. Make sure they always have nice hard berries. If they have diarrhea, there's a chance they could have coccidiosis, and that's not a good one for rabbits. And you'll want to prevent that. To prevent that, you'll want to move them in their chicken tractors often. You'll also want them up off the ground, like if they're in wire cages, a lot of airflow, and so their poop doesn't like back up in the cage. So that's a good indicator if they have parasites. Will you talk about when you butcher, how you can tell by liver health?
Yeah, that's not so much with parasites, but you can, I mean, when you process rabbits, especially like wild rabbits, you can see if they have like rabbit fever, which I think that's from ticks, is where that is, how that's transmitted.
Okay.
But their liver, when you pull their liver out, it will be like spotted. It'll have like little white spots all over it. So if their liver is all solid one color, nice deep red, chances are they're good. But that's one of the reasons why, like in our area where we do have a lot of tularemia, is that what it's called? Tularemia. They recommend only rabbit season is only during the cold months. It's from like December to
like
April.
Hunting season.
Hunting season. Right.
For wild.
Right. And my understanding is, though, that domestic rabbits don't get rabbit fever. So even if they're on the ground, they don't get it. I'm not exactly sure why. It's limited to wild rabbits. But that's how you tell with a wild rabbit, is you look at their liver when you're processing them.
The only other parasite we have encountered is the bot flies.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, that was a long time ago.
That was weird.
So the bot flies will land on your rabbit's fur, and they'll kind of like, they'll bite them and then lay eggs in the bite.
Under their skin.
And so their larvae, it's really disgusting. Their larvae will grow underneath their skin, like in between their skin and their meat.
Yeah.
And after it's so gross, you guys. After they're big enough, they'll just like come out of that opening. And
it's like if you ever go, use waxworms for fishing, that's about what they're like. It's like this little white worm that just like climbs out of their skin.
They're so disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
And the only way is like when you're handling your rat and petting it and stuff, they're like little bumps.
Yeah.
And it's so gross. The thing is, even though would you want to eat a rabbit that had that? It's actually perfectly safe.
Yeah.
It sounds terribly disgusting.
Right.
But you can still eat them.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. Yeah. Here's a good one.
All right. I have used so many of your gardening ideas. Woven fabric has been a godsend.
It really is.
I do want some raised beds. Do you miss your in-ground garden at all? We're actually going to be doing a video probably this coming week or maybe next week about our ending of our first year with raised bed gardens
and our experience
yes. And what we like, what we don't like, and all of that. So I don't want to spoil a lot of that, but I will tell you, we've been very happy with the raised beds, and we'll go way in depth on that video to show you guys what we liked, what we didn't like, and what we kind of miss about in-ground gardening. But we're not going back to in-ground gardening, I'll tell you that.
Here's one I can answer just real quick. We're running out of time, so I want to do this.
We're down to the 5-minute mark.
I want to power through these. Have you ever canned rabbit meat we did when we had rabbits. It was so good. It was raw packed and it made its own juice, no water added. Love you guys. Wisconsinite here. Woohoo! So yes.
One of these weeks, I'm going to wear my cheese hat.
Where is that?
It's out in the barn. I know where it is.
Okay. I have canned rabbit meat, but I've never raw packed it because to me, it's too tedious to cut off the bone. What I do is I cook them like in a crock pot situation. I take off all of the meat and then pack it already pre-cooked and backfill with rabbit broth. I love that a lot. It's very much like the canned chicken actually that you get from the store.
Right.
And it's so handy to throw in soups and stuff like that. So yes, I have, and I really enjoy it.
All right. I think we got time for one or two more.
Let's do this one next.
Top 5 favorite things to plant in your garden.
Each?
Now let's go back and forth.
Okay.
Tomatoes, obviously, is at the top of my list.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do 3. How about that?
Okay.
Tomatoes, green beans, and okra.
Oh, okra?
Yeah, of course.
I guess I should have known that.
What things do I snack on the most when I'm out there? That should tell you what my favorites are.
Yes. So my favorite number 1 is peppers, which I had a gargantuan amount of peppers this year. Even though I don't like to eat raw tomatoes, I love to grow tomatoes. They're very satisfying. They're very beautiful. I know you love them. And so I do like to plant them because you love them. Well, that makes 5 total, but
pick one more.
Pick one more. I like green beans. I like to pick green beans. I like to can them, like to pickle them. So that's probably, but I also like herbs. I'm such a nerd.
Yeah.
I like to grow it all.
There's lots of fun things to grow.
I even like to grow things
I'll tell you one thing I do miss, since we don't eat, high carb foods anymore. I do miss planting corn.
Yeah.
And having some fresh sweet corn.
And watermelon.
I can guarantee that we'll never plant corn again. And watermelon, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, you never know. We may end up doing some again in the future and having a few cheat days here and there. Yeah. All right, let's do one more.
Oh, this will be an easy one. But I think we have a little bit more time left. Will you be selling any breeding rabbits? Probably.
That was an easy answer.
Yeah, probably.
If we do, they will be on our website.
Yeah.
livingtraditionshomestead.com. If you haven't been to our website, I know a lot of people haven't. They watch us on YouTube, but have never actually been to our website, livingtraditionshomestead.com. We have a lot of stuff on there, including things for sale. We have a very in-depth rabbit processing video for sale on our website. Mm-hmm. It goes, again, there's so many restrictions on YouTube as far as like the amount of blood and just, they just don't want anything gory, which they consider
shocking.
They consider it shocking content, and we consider it eating.
Yeah.
But so I've got a very in-depth processing video that you can download from our website. It's cheap, but it is so in-depth, and I think you guys will really like it better than any of the ones that we've ever put on YouTube.
This one's super fast and super fun.
Okay.
What species are the Phyllis Diller chickens?
I'm assuming they're talking about the Polish chickens.
Polish chickens.
I know
fun?
I know the name Phyllis Diller, but it's a little before our time. But
a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that.
She was a comedian, I think, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think so.
Okay, this is final question.
All right,
which is
final
enough,
question.
but let's get one. Let's get one here. I don't know. Which one?
I don't know.
Just pick one.
Don't read them. Just.
Oh, here. Let's do this one. Do you like homemade sauerkraut? If not, you are missing out.
Missing out on kraut.
There are many types of sauerkraut recipes that are amazing and yummy. It's like medicine. I know. That's what I've been saying all along. Okay, this is the opposite of the donkey question, okay? Like, I want to make sauerkraut. I like it. But Kevin does not like anything fermented. So, yes, I can make it for myself. I like
fermented grapes. And I don't mind fermented hops. How about that?
Oh, gosh.
But you're right. I do not like fermented foods.
He just doesn't.
I love pickled, like vinegar pickled stuff. But There's just something about
even the fermented
and I
cucumbers
know
into pickles.
and I know it's so good for me. So I will eat a little bit here and there, but it's not. I do it under protest every single time. I do. I'm not a liar. I'll be honest. That's the truth.
So if our cabbages that we planted this fall, if they turn out, I will probably make 1 or 2 quarts of sauerkraut, but that's probably about it because nobody but me is going to eat them.
Yeah.
So send him emails and messages about how he should eat fermented foods because it's so good for his gut.
I'll tell you what. The day that I get a donkey or an emu, I will stand out in the pasture and I'll eat an entire quart of sauerkraut.
You will not.
That's what I'll do.
I don't believe you.
All right.
I'm still waiting for my $1 million for finding cactus in Missouri. So it's probably in the same lines.
Probably. Well, you guys, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight. We sure are enjoying these live streams a lot more than we thought we would. It's really a fun time, and we enjoy getting to know some of you better, and we're glad that you're with us every single week. So thank you again for everybody that was here. We will plan on seeing you all back here again next Monday at 6 o'clock Central Time. And until then, I hope you all have a very good week. Don't forget to keep praying for all of those who are still being affected by the hurricanes. Since last week, now we need to add Florida in there as well.
That's right.
And just pray for our country.
Our nation,
Yeah, we need to pray for our leaders, no matter what side you're on. We need to pray for our leaders that they will have, hopefully God on their side to lead them and direct them to where we need to go. Until then, all we can do is keep taking care of ourselves
and our neighbors, our friends, loved ones.
Right. And you guys just be as prepared as you can. And we'll see you again next week.
Take care. God bless.
God bless.